Welcome back to our special edition of Making Money. It continues now. This, a town hall on capitalism and socialism. And back with us representing socialism, Bianca, Cunningham, and Richard Wolff, and our champion of capitalism, Herman Cain. And joining us now, Kennedy, you know her. She's the host of her own show on 9 p.m. on Fox Business. She also appears regularly on Outnumbered over on the Fox News Network. Kennedy was born in Indiana and raised in Oregon. Now, she's a libertarian, and she is a big proponent of capitalism. Welcome to the show, Kennedy.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here. Thank you.
A lot of exciting things. You've lived capitalism. You preach capitalism. So, you ready?
Absolutely, Charles. Let's do this.
Let's do it. Let's get our next question. Let's go to Nicholas. Nicholas.
Hi. So I'm a college student here in New York City studying business, and on today's college campuses, it's so hard to bring Republican ideas such as capitalism to a debate without being either shouted down or called a slew of slurs. So how do we ensure that students in our universities and colleges across the country, especially here in cities as liberal as New York, are able to learn the real differences between capitalism and socialism and the benefits capitalism has brought to America through its first 243 years of existence?
Let's ask the professor.
I've spent a lifetime preaching to do exactly that, to have the university be a place where the ideas of capitalism can be defended by people who believe in it, and the ideas of socialism can be defended and put forward by people who believe in it. But in 90% of the colleges of the United States, in economics, which is the field I know, there are people, loads of people, who love and celebrate capitalism, and no people who celebrate socialism. Let me give you myself as an example, because Herman here has given himself as an example. I was born in Ohio. Parents had absolutely nothing. I ended up, for a long story, I ended up going to Harvard as an undergraduate, to Stanford in the middle, and I finished at Yale. I'm like a poster boy for elite education in this country, right? At no time in my education, 10 years in the Ivy League, did anyone stand in front of me and give an argument for why socialism was advantageous or good. I heard countless debates among people who loved capitalism, disagreed about this or that. But the presumption was, this is the best system since sliced bread. This is all you need to know. And the alternative is nothing you have to worry about.
Right.
Given that, of course it's hard for socialism to get a hearing. But your situation is the very, very scarcest reality. The one I described is unfortunately the bad legacy of the Cold War we still live with.
With all due respect, Richard, I want to bring Kennedy in because this is not the first time I've heard this. In fact, I've heard it from thousands and thousands of young adults in colleges across this country.
Yes. And it's not just, we have to divorce ourselves from the idea of a two-party system, and I'm sure that you would agree. You know, you kind of rail against the Democrat Party and the establishment, and it's this extreme bifurcation, but they really have so much in common that they do such a great disservice to so many people. So instead of thinking in terms of Republican and Democrat, I like to think in terms of freedom, and that's, you know, that is much more libertarian. That is much more of a libertarian, liberty-encompassing philosophy. And when you talk about freedom, you tend to be much more inclusive because you're talking to individuals. You're not just tribing up into two separate groups where it's we instantly hate you. And I think it's good that you're getting a degree in business because it means that you will have some practical application of that degree. There are a lot of degrees, like my degree in philosophy doesn't necessarily translate to the workplace. It helped me organize my thoughts. I probably could have done that on my own, but I liked being in a university setting. So for the vast majority of people who are languishing in college, which are propaganda factories that are run by leftists who want to indoctrinate, what I would say to a vast majority of people, save your money. Don't necessarily go to college until you know what you want to study. I didn't go to college until I was 28 years old. I had two careers in broadcasting, in radio and television, and it wasn't until I knew what I wanted to do and pour myself into it completely that I went and got a scholarship to UCLA. Go Bruins.
Let's leave it there. And hey, up next we've got Mohammed. Mohammed, what's your question?
So, can I stand? All right. I just wanted to ask the candidates as to their thoughts on the desirability as well as the feasibility of transitioning America to a socialist framework by replacing the current model of structure of firms, which some would describe as a vertical hierarchy, into worker-owned cooperatives.
Bianca?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. To me, in my mind, I feel like this country has prioritized capitalism over democracy. And so I think that we can't start to have these conversations without bringing democracy back into the conversation. People are not responsive to candidates or to political parties. They're responsive to issues. They have real issues that they want to see addressed. And I feel like, you know, there are a lot of examples of you know, socialism gone bad around. But what I'm more concerned about, I think America, we're great at a lot of things. I think that we can do socialism better in this country than in any other country.
But how do we restructure it, though, from this capitalist system and then break it down, put it back together? It's like changing a tire on a moving Mack truck.
Here's another question, though. And I have a question for you, because I want you to answer this honestly. When will you admit that things have gotten better? And that's a problem, because there's so much hyperbole and like, oh, this is the worst time and there are children starving in the streets. That's not necessarily true. This is actually the best time to be alive. People are living longer. And in fact, capitalism has lifted billions of people out of extreme poverty. Do you want people in extreme poverty? I don't. I want women and I want the children and young people to have ideas that they insert into the marketplace.
Bianca?
But when will you admit that things have actually gotten better? That's the worry, because you talk about systems and you talk about strata and you abuse this platonic
It's a luxury
model.
to have this conversation. In many parts of the world, you couldn't.
We have the highest wage gap today than after the Great Depression, than after the recession in 2008. So while you are saying that capitalism is working and the markets are strong and unemployment is low, what we're saying is that it's not translating to people's actual material conditions.
When will you admit okay, so socialists like to use the term living wage. When will you admit what that is, and why would you stop at $15 an hour? Why not go to $25 an hour? Why not $100 an hour? $150 an hour?
Hey,
that's absolutely right. Start there. Go big.
I want to get you guys in, but we're getting tight on time. Let me start with you first, Herman, because you worked at the Federal Reserve. You also ran a major corporation. How would we actually deconstruct this whole system that we have and flatten it out so that everyone has a greater voice? And how does that even work?
The answer is you can't. Allow me to give you two statistics. As imperfect as capitalism is, the United States of America represents nearly 25% of the world's GDP compared to everybody else, and we have less than 5% of the world's population. Kennedy is right. More people have been lifted up out of poverty because of capitalism, not socialism. Secondly, socialism creeps into a society. That's why a lot of people think it sounds good. That young man's question was never answered. When you ask, when are people going to start telling people what it's going to cost? Nobody has answered that. And that's because the costs are absolutely unbelievable and unrealistic.
Richard?
I want to answer. I'd like to answer the question about how could you get a situation where these ideas become acceptable, and to teach a little bit of
implement them. How do we deconstruct capitalism and become a socialist society?
But his question implied, how do you get people to be willing to even talk about or go in that direction?
By force.
And no, let me give an example.
Yeah, that's the only way. That's it.
Right. That's historical nonsense, like some of the other things you said.
No, that's reality. That's the truth. You use
the longevity
force.
of the United States the last 2 years has gone down.
Whether or not it's
down.
by gun or by tax, it's
but you
force.
can ignore it, but you can't say what you
Whenever
say.
You are
it's not correct.
Groupthink, that is using force.
Let me respond to his question.
No
one is using force.
That's the only way. That's it. It is force.
I guess you don't want me to speak. Is that the point?
Oh, no, I hear the same thing over and over again, but that's the answer.
So you don't want me to speak because you've heard it already.
Go ahead. No, you can sidestep it all you want.
Kind of you.
Thank you.
Now, let me explain why the socialism isn't the problem here. That's a little bit of American history. In 1916, for the first time, the Socialist Party ran a candidate for president. Got 600,000 votes, 3% of the vote. 4 years later, the Socialist Party ran another candidate for president, Eugene Debs. He got 4% of the vote, 900,000. 4 years later, the Socialists ran another candidate, Robert La Follette of Wisconsin. 1924, he ran for president. He got 5 million votes, 17% of the total vote. At that point, the capitalists of this country got very frightened, and for good reason, and came down on socialism with the same kind of hysterical denunciation that you're listening to here. We have to come out of 100 years of hibernation.
Right.
Every other country in the world has socialist parties that are part of the conversation. We're the country that's behind in that area. We need to catch up, but we don't have to imagine it as new. It's in our own history. We've been able to do it. We've been there.
Great point, Richard. Listen, this is not...
World War II. The end.
Yeah. Well, FDR implemented a lot of policies that the socialists were advising.
That's right.
Kennedy, love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Love your
Great to
passion
see you.
and knowledge.
Thank you all.